one thing someone asked in the presentation in Plymouth was whether coaching can help them, whether the traditional way would be more effective in certain ways. And I've been thinking about that. And I decided that we cannot coach knowledge. That is, if the students lack knowledge about something, we cannot use coaching conversations for that. That's a different thing altogether. So the next one, next I'm going to present a case study of a student with whom I practiced coaching conversations in a feedback tutorial. So here is the context. The student has already received written feedback comments that he was asked to read and think about. This particular student came to the tutorial expecting direct instructions to correct their draft. They came with a pen and paper, ready to take notes of what the teacher would recommend, because that's the way they were used to receive feedback. It was a typical student attitude. My approach was to put the focus on the students' self-evaluation, get them to talk as much as possible, and get them to reflect on their decision-making. Because up to then, I could see that the previous feedback provided in the traditional way was not very effective. At the same time, I had asked a Ballet observer, my line manager, to observe the tutorial session and give me feedback on my feedback. So some powerful questions asked were these, which I studying, thinking about the principles and the coaching principles and cornerstones and all the theory, I tried to think and produce and prepare, and which would also be relevant to this particular student. So instead of when I first asked the student, how did you feel when you saw your grade and feedback? They started talking about their weaknesses. They started giving me, repeating the comments, some of the comments I had made in writing in their feedback. But they hadn't really understood what they meant. But then I told him, well, you're just telling me what I told you. You're not telling me how you felt. And then they started thinking, how did I feel? And they started saying, I was surprised, I was pleased, I was shocked. I asked them to express feeling and then give me a reason of what made them feel like that. Or I asked which part of the essay they felt most proud of, and they had to also rationalize that and in a way realize what they had done well and why, based on what they had learned about essay writing up to then. Then asking them if there is anything they find challenging or they're unsure about is the G, the goal. I asked them to set their own goal and specify their own focus for the meeting, the tutorial meeting. from 1 to 10, where do they place themselves right now, with 10 being their goal also, and what that would take to reach their goal. That was very, very effective, because it's put them in a position to start thinking about an action plan, and to start thinking about how important um, uh, receiving feedback would be, and realizing what they need to do. How can I support you in reaching your goal? This, in a way, again, gives them the power to make, I mean, put them in the driver's seat, and they tell you what they need you um, to provide. And these questions, of course, can be adapted based on the student, on the individual student. I think that feedback should take into consideration the special needs of each student. So the observer's feedback was that the most important thing was that in that 20 minutes tutorial, the student did 70% of the talking. The student didn't used to be that engaged before. And the session was tailored to their own context, and the student felt that the feedback was very relevant. It wasn't generic, it wasn't something that would suit all learners. There was a very positive response to the feedback, which was shown in the students' writing, in the second draft, in the final essay. And most importantly, the student was asked to provide feedback on the feedback session. And I was really impressed to read that the tutorial was different. They realized that there was something different there. And he said that now I have a stronger heart for my future academic career, which meant for me that they felt empowered. This particular student felt empowered. And this was very important. Oh, here's the slide I was looking for before, sorry. So yes, this is another theory, the mindset, which is very, very important, okay, to create a growth mindset and make students realize that mistakes are like stepping stones to success. Especially important, I found the use of word yet. So yes, you haven't managed to do this correctly yet, which means that it's an ongoing process. Some practical strategies from this brief experience, but I plan to work on this more. I would advise to start small. So don't, I'm not a coach, we're not coaches, but we can add 1 or 2 coaching questions in the next tutorial, see how they work. Use the GROW framework as a guide. Think of some effective questions that will get them out of their comfort zone and get them talking. Summarize or rephrase the students' points, allow wait time, and also take notes about what went well, or ask for student feedback, or for an observer to tell you what went well during the tutorial, and then fine-tune your skills, try to improve yourself. It may sound a little bit intimidating, but actually it's very enjoyable. And if you decide to, in a way, experiment and get out of your comfort zone, and it's actually much more interesting. So coaching, I found that coaching conversations can transform them into a collaborative learning experience, definitely. And students become more active, and the feedback they get, or they come up with, because in a way they come up with their own solutions, is remembered afterwards. So the feedback is not something given and received passively, but more like a dialogue for change and growth. And for me, I've called this beyond feedback, because it's not just about the task. It's about approaching the students more holistically. We're not experts. We can't give expert advice, but we deliver we provide help and guidance in a way that the students can accept and receive. And that's about it. Here are my references if you're interested to explore more. Okay. And thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, Angeliki. I enjoyed listening to it again.